From an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills, it's time once again for the long shot. Come hell or high water. Tonight's episode, they're taking our cookies and still punching us in the face. And now, please welcome the host of the long shot, Sean Conroy. Nice. Whoa.
Damn.
New thing. New thing on Zoom.
By continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to be.
Were people
recorded.
suing that their Zooms were being recorded without their knowledge or something?
I've sued Longshot twice now. It didn't
Not
go
a lot
on.
of money in it.
No.
But we are recording, that means. Officially.
I guess we can start. Thank you ever so very much. Welcome to The Long Shot. It is a podcast. I'm your host. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the show, the light at the end of the rainbow, the gold ring in the tunnel. Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
And of course, Joe Wagner is on assignment. Jamie Flam also on assignment off somewhere. So we had a whole thing of names that we were going to call these two-person.
And I forget 100%.
How about this? How about this? Oh, golly, would you like to meet me in Hollywood? That doesn't really work. But here we are.
Too
it's
catchy.
Too catchy. Yeah. Yeah. The rhyme is supposed to go at the end of the line. Doesn't even, well, it's called an internal rhyme.
Yeah, it's modern poetry.
Aaron is suggesting ramblin' with Sean and Amber, which I think is denigrating to the way we talk to each other. I think it's way more pointed than that.
Yes, we're known for how focused we stay on topic.
Let me just look at my agenda here. See where we're gonna. All right. Okay, so here we are, and I don't even feel like I need to say we always start with checking in because it's just the two of us. So
and that's all we do, really. We might just do it in two chunks.
There's no reason to set it up. It's just like, yeah, what's up? You know,
How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? Did you watch the Friends reunion? Speaking of how you doing?
No, did you?
I did not. Did you watch Friends when it was on?
I did.
Yeah, I was not a fan, but I wasn't a fan either. Like I didn't follow it particularly. In fact, it took me years to figure out that the reason that everybody would say "How you doing" was related to Friends. Like I didn't even get that for a long time. I was like, that's weird that people keep saying that. I'm thinking it's hilarious. But now I know. So you just had no interest in the Friends reunion.
Yeah, it hasn't come up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll watch it eventually, but I wasn't
Waiting with bated breath.
Yeah. And and I get that that's what they're doing, a lot of this sort of like nostalgia,
right?
Porn almost.
They fucked. Absolutely. There was a lot of fucking in the Friends reunion.
I'm saying I'm not above it. I fell hard for it for the real world reunion. And I think that maybe I just
this one didn't catch your fancy.
And they're all famous still. It isn't like I wonder what they're doing. I don't know. Like I don't understand what we're reuniting about.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I also think it's weird. Like this was the big one. The Friends reunion was the big one that was supposedly going to happen back 2 years ago or whatever, a year and a half ago. And then the pandemic happened. But I guess it was too late to take back the $250 million they had paid everybody for this reunion. And so during the pandemic,
that makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah. During the pandemic, it was like, well, we got the cast of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place together on Zoom, and they talked about the show. Like, all of a sudden it was ubiquitous that every cast was getting together and like talking about like, yeah, it was fun doing the show. I remember the episode where we had a crazy mix up, and too late for HBO Max to go, oh, wait. No, we don't need to give
we invented it actually. Oh, yeah. Did you at all watch I don't think I watched the whole thing, but I watched clips of it. It was at the height of the pandemic, but they did a reading of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I didn't see it, no.
Via Zoom with famous people. It was funny.
Different people from who played the original characters.
Correct.
I didn't see it. I did see an article I feel like I just saw it yesterday or the day before about Amy Heckerling, or an interview with Amy Heckerling, the director of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
And the director of Clueless, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Right. And I'm trying to remember what the movie was, because one of the points they made, this was certainly not the point of the interview, but one of the points that they made, maybe Aaron, you can look up what the next movie she directed after Fast Times was, because it was like she didn't want to be put in a box. And it just was, when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, that's weird.
Look
Who's Talking? Was it Look Who's Talking? No, that wasn't the next one she did.
That's a weird one.
Yeah. But anyway, it was interesting because there's stuff I didn't realize. Like when she directed Fast Times. It's always good when there's only two of us and I'm choking to death immediately.
Also, we are in fact rambling about Fast Times.
Hi, welcome to Rambling with Sean and Amblin.
No, wait. So when she was directing Fast Times,
she was 27. She had just gotten out of film school, and they were like, "Here's a movie," and the cast of that movie is like the first movie for Sean Penn, Forrest Whitaker, like Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yes, that was what it was. Aaron just said Johnny Dangerously, which I remember loving, but was a weird movie and one that was certainly not to everybody's taste. I don't know if you remember Johnny Dangerously, but it was like an airplane style movie about gangsters from the 30s.
Fun. Yeah.
So, and it was Joe Piscopo, I think, played Johnny Dangerously. So there was just a lot of silly, this is the one joke I remember from Johnny Dangerously is in The Sting, when guys would walk into Michael Keaton was the star.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. When in The Sting, when guys were in on the sting, they would signal each other. A guy would walk in and he'd go like this, right? Yeah. So in Johnny Dangerously, they had a thing where people would walk in and they'd be like, and like wink at, like nod and wink, and until finally in one scene, again, I'm going to say Joe Piscopo, although I might be wrong. Maybe it was Michael Keaton. They're all like nodding and winking and nodding and winking, and he finally goes, "No more nodding!" And it was just so funny to me at the time because it was just like way too long of them nodding at each other until the boss freaked out. But anyway, I thought that was a weird choice for her to make for her second. Yeah. I mean, Fast Times was, I don't think it was a hit, but it was a success.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, what do you want to do next?
Sleeper.
Yeah. Sean Penn. Nicolas Cage was in Fast Times, I think in a non-speaking role. But anyway, that was, I don't know how we got on the subject of, we were talking about reunions. Yes.
I forget why we were even talking about the Friends reunion.
Friends,
I don't know why that even came up, to be quite honest.
Well, I got HBO Max this week. I've had it for I don't know, a month and a half, and I could not get it to connect on my TV. And that is infuriating because it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm old school, but I'm like, I'm paying for this. I should be allowed to have it,
Right.
This is how much I'm paying for my cable bill.
Okay, boomer.
You don't do that anymore, right? Yeah. It's like you pay for everything and then you get some. So I couldn't get it to work. Like I kept on.
Like you could watch it on your laptop.
No, not even that. Couldn't get it to hook up. And anyway, this is one of those stories where there's no way to communicate
how frustrating it was.
The rage and difficulty of spending 2.5 hours on the phone with AT&T to get a thing that I have been paying for a month and a half, but nobody can seem to figure out what the problem is or why it's not working and what the account is and why is, and it also has to do with the fact that part of my service is through DirecTV, and DirecTV is now owned by AT&T, but not directly affiliated with AT&T.
So they're like, you're going to have to call DirecTV for this part, but talk to us for this part. But then we'll never talk to each other.
They were like, you have to talk to DirecTV. I can connect you. And I was like, great. And, this is such a micro level of like what actually happened, because I can't, it's like I blocked it out. It was 3 days ago and I have blocked it out of my memory. But they were like, hi, can I help you? And I was like, yes, I'm calling. This is after they connected me to DirecTV. Yes, can I help you? Yeah, I'm calling about this, and this. Okay, well, we here at AT&T are happy to help you. So it was like, it was just going in a loop.
To the beginning.
Yeah. It literally went in a loop like 5 times. They were like, okay, here's what I want you to do. Go to this page. And I'm like, oh, you mean the one I've been to 10 times already in the last 90 minutes with various people? Yeah, I can do that. It's not going to work. I'm just letting you know ahead of time that it's not going to work, but let's give it a shot. And then this was the other thing was every person I talked to, the audio quality was a little worse. So
hilarious for like that's their company. That's what they do.
Right. And like every major corporation, they outsource to some foreign country. So the people don't actually speak English that well. And it's hard for me to understand them to begin with. And then on one of them, I got an echo of my own voice about 3 seconds behind everything I said. So it'd be like,
can't even finish your sentence.
So you want me to go on the website? Like I would hear myself talking back to me, and that was making me insane.
And at first you're like, are you making fun of me?
That's a really good impression. I'm actually impressed at your impression. And then the next one literally was like this. It was like, welcome to AT&T. Can I help you?
No.
And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't quite make out what you're saying. You're very quiet. Okay, let me try to fix a couple things. Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Slightly?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, it was, and like, I'm not good at masking my emotions, but I did my best to not just explode at people. Right. And then it was hilarious because people could tell, obviously, that I was frustrated, even though I promise I was not like yelling at them or anything like that. I was just like, okay, let's do the thing that I've now done 7 times in the last 45 minutes, which won't work again, but I'm happy to give it a try. Let's see what happens. And they would be like, I am so sorry to hear, and I appreciate your patience, and I know it's frustrating, and just like on and on like that. And I'm like, yeah, it is, but like, let's fucking solve this.
You
know? And of course, at the end, it is solved, and I'm like, what am I left with except 2.5 hours of mind-numbing frustration and the opportunity to watch the Friends reunion, which I'm not interested in,
There's a lot of good programming on HBO Max. I'm famously cheap, and
that's like one of the main things you're famous for.
So I often, like, if you have to pay for it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get that.
A lot of people call you the cheap at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. But I forget when it was, but I caved and I was like, I'm getting HBO Max.
Well, and you had to pay for it. It wasn't one of those things where they were like, well, you got cable service, so you get it for a year for free, and then you won't remember, and it'll renew for $100 a month or whatever.
Right. But I like it. I like it a lot. I think you're watching it. I think I saw you tweet Mayor of Easttown.
I am, but I get that through HBO, so I don't.
Oh, not HBO Max. Oh, interesting. You already had HBO. See, I didn't even have access to HBO before.
See, I get HBO Max for free because I have HBO, and that's what was making me crazy about it was I should be getting this thing. Like, it's almost the opposite of what you're saying. It's not that I was cheap. It's that if I get things for free, I want those things.
Right. You know? No. Yeah. And because, wow, this changes everything I'm about to say, because everything that I am like, HBO Max is fantastic. It's because I'm getting, really, it's the HBO content, which you already had. So never mind.
Right.
And there's some good HBO Max. I thought The Flight Attendant was a fun show. I recommend that.
I haven't seen it. I did see a flight attendant get punched in the face on the news yesterday.
I did too. It bummed me out.
It certainly doesn't bode well for things going forward as we get back into, society after the pandemic.
Again, I kind of did this after 9/11 too, where I was like, this will be what brings us together as a people. And I thought the pandemic would do that. And it's just like, nope.
Right. Well, it's interesting. There's a couple of differences, obviously, but then also a couple of parallels. I think difference being 9/11 was an attack from somebody outside. Well, there was
a common enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
It was somebody outside attacking. And
even though we were possibly, definitely misled on who that was to necessitate a war immediately after. But that's a whole other thing.
Right. That, and also the fact that there were bombs planted inside the World Trade Center that went off that were coordinated, and all the Jews called in sick to work that day. Yeah. I guess that did all start around that time. That was when that really took off. That loose change bullshit was what led to this.
I'm so scared that these snippets will be taken out of context.
Right.
These assholes.
They actually believe all this stuff about 9/11. But I think what is way more extreme now, but was true at the time as well, is people see using other people's discontent to their own advantage, whether it
weaponizing it.
Right, whether it be politically or financially. Yeah. I mean, right now, it's way more about money than it was during 9/11 or after 9/11. Like, 9/11 was about politics. It was like, let's invade Iraq, which had wanted to do.
Money eventually.
In a larger sense,
right,
yeah. But it wasn't people,
directly.
I mean, I'm sure it was on some level, but it wasn't generally people selling T-shirts that said, fuck Hillary Clinton in the mouth, it was just like,
it's not even catchy. It's like one of our names of our show.
I just made that up. Like, I don't know if that's a real thing, but if it is, I'm trademarking it right now.
It's tough.
But it is way more on a grassroots level about how can I make money from this now. I mean, I'm sure you saw the thing about the woman who's selling stars now that say not vaccinated. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's offensive on like 11 levels. That's
what are you, Spinal Tap?
Yes, I am. No, but like, it's offensive to say that people who are for the vaccine are Nazis. It's offensive to victimize yourself so much. It's offensive to make money off victimizing yourself. Like,
I think it's offensive to say that Nazis would not get vaccinated. Like, of course.
They were into science.
The trains ran on time. Everybody got their shots.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, it's really upsetting. And what's even more upsetting, than somebody doing that is that there are lots of people, I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact because I don't deal in facts. I'm sure there are lots of people sending her money and going, this is hilarious how we're owning the libtards with this, you know, like contributing to that as a way of business.
Right.
You know,
I saw a tweet today. It made me think of you. I should have sent it to you.
Was it somebody is incredibly smart, handsome, well put together, and financially successful?
No, it was a thread about how I this is just me doing a bad book report of a tweet, which is...
I think maybe we should rename our episodes Bad Book Report, because that's mostly what we do is like go, I heard this thing. I think
it was a guy who... Yeah. But basically, he was saying that a lot of people are baffled by the Trumpers and how they can... like all of their ideologies seem to be in conflict with themselves. Like, COVID is a hoax, but it's also
weaponized by the Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you see this tweet as well?
I think I did. Yeah. I think I saw the thread.
That,
yeah.
He
like
was
everything is in contradiction with itself. Like, Antifa are the people who invaded the Capitol, but we don't want an investigation.
Yeah, and they're heroes.
And they're patriots. Yeah.
But he was saying, like, the problem isn't trying to figure out that contradiction, and it isn't trying to point out that contradiction. He's saying that is the actual
appeal.
Defining principle of Trumpism is that people don't have... They can be as lazy in their philosophy and their morality as they want. And they'll, like, whatever you believe and whatever makes your life simplest, I guess.
Right.
You can find an ideology within there.
I don't have to think about things.
Right.
Anything could be true. So who cares? It's not up to me to make any decisions or think about
I don't
stuff.
know. I just thought that was really interesting. I hadn't seen it put that way before.
Interesting is one word for it. Yeah, no, I did.
Well, I mean, not good, but that distilling of it. I don't think it's good, but the reflection on that ideology, because it is very frustrating when you see people saying the exact opposite things at the same time. It's hard to understand when you're a person who...
Well, I think there's a lot of that when you're a person who believes in facts and logic and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think there's so much of that. It's like back the blue, but if some of them get killed or attacked or beaten with hockey sticks, we don't want to know who did that or who caused that. Right. You know, but back the blue. Don't defund the socialists. Want to defund the police. We are 100% in favor. You know, back the military. We're 100% in favor of the military. But just because Trump called them suckers and losers, who cares? That doesn't matter.
Right.
That's
and also don't give them any benefits whatsoever.
No, it's a scary fucking time. Mm-hmm. I don't know what motivated this except my own insanity, but I was sitting this week and I was trying to do a thought experiment because that's the kind of person I am. I'll just be sitting here and I'll be like, hey,
your beakers.
Yeah. What if I do a thought experiment right now? I might as well do it. I'm a bit of a scientist, a social scientist. Let me do a thought experiment. But I was like, let me put myself in the shoes of a person who supports Trump and try to figure out why I would continue to do that over the course of all this stuff. And I couldn't pull off the experiment. I just couldn't do it because I have so much disgust for
and
everything that's happened.
A logical thinker. Like it feels
as it turns out.
You have to do a lot
of like as soon as I start to do that, I go, what has he done for anyone that should be supportive? The only thing he has done and I think this goes back to what he initially started all this. The only thing he has done is made it okay for people to say you're a fucking piece of shit to anybody they want to. He has made it okay for you. If you don't like that the flight attendant is telling you to buckle your seatbelt,
just punch her
in the mouth, knock a couple of her teeth out. Yeah. It's okay to do that now, I know. And that is thanks to the way he and the people around him conducted themselves during the time that they had been.
That's another fun contradiction, that Trump is who gave us the vaccine, but the vaccine is unsafe.
Yes. Yeah. I just, what the fuck?
Once I heard it laid out like that, it actually made it all make more sense to me, because it's like, no, the point is that it doesn't make any sense.
It's not to make sense, it's to not have to make sense.
It's to not have to examine any of your choices, because there's always someone you could point to that it's their fault. You don't have to change anything about your lifestyle ever.
Can I tell you what's weird and interesting about that to me? That sounds like religion.
Oh shit. we're going for the big guy.
I'm not kidding.
Today.
It's like a code prescribed by other people that I don't have to think about. So therefore everything I do falls within that code. And it's different because with Trumpism, the code is like, whatever the fuck, who gives a shit? Do what you want. Do what you want. And that's different from organized religion, but to a certain extent.
But there's a lot of overlap. I'm not saying 100% overlap, but there's a lot of people.
But you're saying how you get confirmed in Trumpism? Like you have a confirmation?
No, I'm saying that there are people who are very, very religious, who are very, very
overlap between the two. Yeah. I wish I was more of a deep thinker, because I would be able to turn this into a Medium essay that would go viral, and then
You are.
But just as you were saying that really struck me, that everything you were saying could be applied to religion.
Well, in that Twitter thread, this is so embarrassing.
It's not even a book report; it's a tweet report. Sean and Amber's bad tweet reports.
But he said that the only thing you have to do in this ideology is like have full devotion to the leader. It's the same of any sort of fascist situation, but it's like, then Trump will say, you're the best. Like, you can beat people up, you can be racist, you can be whatever, but you support me, so you're the best. And that, like, literally you could do whatever the fuck you want as long as you are devoted to the leader.
Right.
Which, again, I only brought that up because it's like, actually, that's another argument for it being similar to organized religion.
Right. Ugh. And here's the other right. And here's the other scary thing about it to me, or I don't know if any of this stuff was scary at all, but here is a scary thing about it to me. I feel like it is worse now than it was a year ago. It's worse. It has gotten worse. He is not in office anymore, and it has gotten more divisive and more upsetting and more out there and more Marjorie Taylor Greene and more Matt Gaetz and more Ron DeSantis and crazier. And I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
And you know, where's it going? Where is it going? Like, there is it the word that
a zit that we have to get to a head and it could pop and
yeah, but you know what that explosion is? Violence, mass violence. Well, that's where it's going. That's where it's headed, is violence. I mean, it's already gotten there, but it's heading towards more and more of that. It's a really disturbing thing. And of course, as Trump said, they have the tough people. You know, they have the bikers. Sorry. I just it's hard to deal with. And also, the other part of it is like, what I like to think of myself as rational. I like to think of myself as somebody who knows the difference between right and wrong. And a lot of the stuff that has been done has been wrong. And when people do things that are wrong, there should be consequences, but there have been no consequences. None.
Right.
None.
Right.
And the most recent thing, well, there's a couple of recent things, but one of the most recent things is the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice, is trying to block. I don't even know. See, this is part of the problem. This is why it's a bad book report, because I'm like, who cares about the details? This is just upsetting, But they're trying to block any investigation or prosecution of or whatever of the day that they went out and cleared all the people out of Lafayette Square so that President Trump could walk across the street with a Bible. So
that they can do it if they want to someday.
I think there's an element of that. Like, if we prosecute this, then people can come back at us and say we did something wrong. And the problem with that is, like, where does that end? Like, all of a sudden that makes it okay for anybody. Like you said, it makes it fascism. It makes it okay for anybody to do anything in the name of the state. And there's no way to counteract it. Right. And I think, the other thing, we're talking about this on a Saturday, and of course Friday was the day that the Senate voted against the January 6th investigation.
Which is hilarious. It's like they were trying to murder you, and you don't want to look into it. Okay, well, and we'll not
right, but even before you get into the weirdness of that, it's like the Senate voted against it by a vote of 35 to 54. It's like all in favor say aye, and 54 people go aye, and then all against say nay, and 35 people go nay, and they go, the nays have it. Like, it doesn't make any sense,
right.
And I know that's the like whole the like filibuster rule, and like, I don't fucking know how all those rules work, but I'll tell you how they work is they don't work. Like, whatever's going on is not working. And, the whole thing needs to be fucking blown up at this point, because the government is failing. Democracy is sorry. It's
a nice late episode.
This is just a book report,
of democracy.
Like, Mrs. Freeman, my fourth grade teacher, is like, Sean, slow down a little. We just wanted to hear about Johnny Tremaine.
Yeah, it's and I might just be parroting things that I've heard because it's the bubble that I'm in, but it feels like also the Democrats are so concerned with working with the Republicans in a way that the Republicans would never be concerned with working with the Democrats, that all of the talking points during the election that got people excited aren't going to happen because we're too worried about making sure the Republicans are okay with what we're doing. And it's like, it's very frustrating.
Well, I live in my own bubble.
High in the Hollywood Hills.
Yes, not high enough. But one thing that I'm having a problem with, and I sort of get it, but I also am like, fuck this, is it feels to me like President Joe Biden and the people around him are not interested in engaging in a passionate way on the things that, kind of like what you're saying, the important things that people voted for them
actually got people out of their seats and voting.
And it feels like the strategy is, if we just keep it calm, everybody will calm down. Like the Republicans, the right, the conservatives, everybody's going to calm down. And we don't need the country to be as fractious as it has been for the last 25 years or whatever. Like everybody needs to come together. And sort of in a sense, I understand that philosophy, but it is false. It's a false choice, because the people on the right, the conservatives, the conservative media, Fox News, OAN,
they'll keep moving farther right.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, they don't care.
To meet it's like, in the middle, you're taking their side.
It's like when you're a kid and somebody goes, just ignore the bully and they will leave you alone. And then you go, I'm not paying attention. And he punches you in the face, and you go back and go, well, he punched me in the face. I got to do something, right? No. Just ignore him and he will stop. Yeah, he'll stop. And then you're like, oh, here's a cookie. And he punches you in the face and takes the cookie. And it's like, okay, I brought him a cookie and he punched me in the face. Now I got to fight back, right? No. You definitely don't want to antagonize him. Yeah. And I feel like we're in this loop of that happening over and over again, and we are just getting punched in the face while they take our fucking cookie.
Totally. We have all of the majority, and they're still somehow getting their way. It's
yeah.
It's like, so when will we ever get?
Here's another interesting shitty book report on my part, but
what is this episode? I love it. Yes. This is our checking in.
But you were talking about fascism, and I think there is a huge element of fascism now, where that is where the Republican Party, the Democrats, the Republican cunts, I don't know. Yeah.
Pecans.
By the way, it still bugs me every time I hear a Republican call it the Democrat Party instead of the Democratic Party, because for 50 years it was called the Democratic Party as I was growing up. And then all of a sudden everybody became very conscious that Democratic had good connotations to it. And so even though Newt Gingrich had been saying for 25 years, we should start calling it the Democrat Party, not the Democratic Party, I know that every time somebody calls it the Democrat Party, they are consciously stopping themselves, and it's because it's not a natural thing. Yeah. Anyway, as they move more towards fascism, it's the Democrats are being boxed in at this point because, on the one hand, you have the extremes, which is, for lack of a better word, Marjorie Taylor Greene, of like, there will be blood. There will be blood. If you don't do what we want, there will be blood. I mean, I'm sure you saw
wants a race war, basically. At this
I'm sure you saw the Matt Gaetz thing where he was talking about the Second Amendment and saying the reason there is a Second Amendment is so that we can take on the government. That's why the Second Amendment exists, and let's not forget it. Which is crazy that he is being investigated for sex trafficking of a minor, and he is out giving political speeches. That shows you how insane this country is right now, that a man like that would show his face in public is crazy. And to get up on a stage and harangue people into violence against the government
I have to give myself a pep talk to apply for a job I'm qualified for. You know what I mean? What the fuck?
I have to give myself a pep talk to get out of bed. And I feel like I'm very qualified just by nature of gravity to get out of bed. But all I have to do is roll over and I'm out. But and then I have to stand up, of course. But so that's the extreme is unless you adopt our fascist, anti-abortion, Black people can't vote, all the things we're trying
Women are bad just inherently.
Unless you adopt all that, we're going to fucking shoot your ass. We're going to kill you. And then there's the
but
people
also,
who are not.
We're the ones taking away their freedoms. That's the hilarious.
Right. But then there's also the people who are more moderate, the more moderate Republicans, like the people in Congress, for lack of a better word, Kevin McCarthy, the dumbest motherfucker alive, who is like, fine, you don't want to do what we say, you will do nothing. You will do nothing. We will make sure that you never get anything accomplished. We are going to set up a thing where, okay, you want to have a bipartisan commission for January 6th? Great. Here's our demands. Okay, Kevin, you get all of them. Not interested anymore. Not interested. Like, this is what I'm saying. Crazy.
They always get what they want. Like,
yeah,
they get rewarded
and then didn't want it anymore.
Behavior. Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on.
They should all be arrested.
But that's the thing. Also, like I said, I feel like nobody is getting any consequences for anything.
And I think this is the point that you were making initially, but my friend Tess brought that up about the woman punching the flight attendant on the plane. It's like, there's all this going on with, they're also emboldened by the fact that an insurrection happened and there's zero consequences. So like, yeah, I'm mad. I'm going to punch you. Like, what's going to happen?
Right. And I know that there's 450 people being prosecuted right now. Who knows what the upshot of any of that will be? But
I'm sure they all have GoFundMes that are like doing really well.
They made $200,000. Yeah. Yeah. But also it's that thing of like, I guess I don't know who he was quoting, but remember the thing Obama always said where he was like, the arc of justice is long, but it bends towards justice, or the arc of history is long.
I think that's Martin Luther King.
There's some arc that bends towards another thing.
I think that was Martin Luther King.
But I'm like, why does the arc have to be so fucking long? Let's bend. Come on, bend, motherfucker.
Go. Yeah.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. The country is fucked. I really do think things are, I've said this before. We're fucked. We are so fucked and will be for at least 50 to 100 years. So this isn't going to change. I don't know. I don't know how to deal with it. Well, I was about to start all over again, but never mind. Let's not.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say the thing about, which we already even talked about like comparing mask wearing to the Holocaust and how batshit fucking crazy that is. And how when people said, that's actually batshit fucking crazy. And she was like, no, what's crazy is not comparing those two things because they're exactly alike. Like, what? So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I also have used Nazi and fascist comparisons in my dialogue for the other side on this podcast multiple times.
But that was when somebody was just wearing high-heeled boots. You were like, those look like Nazi boots.
I'm talking about people with guns and violence enforcing things. I'm not talking about like a mask is literally for safety. It's
But the problem is it's forcing you to think about other people. And who wants to do that? Not me. I want my freedoms. I want my freedoms.
Still can't get the vaccine. Just like
Yeah. All right. So that was our bad book report segment.
Sorry. I was trying to avoid the microphone. I don't know if I did a good job.
Yeah, you don't want to get germs on your own microphone.
Well, I didn't want it to be the loudest thing that has ever happened.
Oh, I see. Thought it was germ consciousness. But I like that. I like that we have a new segment at the beginning of every episode called Bad Book Report with Sean and Amber. Where
it's kind of Eddie Pepitone light.
We sort of talk about things that we're slightly aware of, but not sure of the facts of. Yeah,
I saw a headline that made me feel.
Look, they got to get rid of the filibuster because the procedures.
Someone said.
Yeah.
It's very accessible the way we talk about politics. Yes. Because we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, anybody could participate. All right, well, let's get away from politics for a second and let's find out what's been going on with Amber this week. So, how have you been, Amber?
Fine, thanks for asking. I got my first.
It feels like I have to be more straightforward and sincere since it's just the two of us. I can't be like checking in. Let's start with Amber. So instead, I have to be like,
don't be sincere. No one likes that.
How have you been?
It's been actually kind of tough, but we're not going to talk about that yet.
Not yet, but we will.
I got my first haircut since February 2020.
It looks great.
Thanks. I mean, I wasn't fishing, but I took before and after pictures.
Well, you got a cut?
Before and after I got it cut, yes.
Oh, no, you said I wasn't fishing and I was...
Oh, gotcha. I wasn't fishing for how much. And the before picture blew me away. Like, I knew it was long, but you don't see it that way.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was below your waist.
Yeah, it was like basically to my butt. It was insane. It was insane.
It was very, very long. And I never see you. I only ever see you like this. So I'm not aware of how far down it goes from in the back. Yeah. Right.
And so even the woman who cut my hair, I told her, it tangles really easily because it's so long. And she's like, okay, I'm going to cut a bunch off before I even wash your hair. So she did. She cut I want to say over a foot off before we even washed my hair. And then she gave me the rest.
A machete.
Yeah.
She didn't even need a special tool. She was just like.
Right. And, we were both wearing masks the whole time. And, I feel bad for her now thinking about it, but it was like the only thing I could think of where the questions I had for her were all like, have you had to work the whole time since it reopened? And how has that been? And also like she cuts hair and she prides herself on cutting hair like to match someone's face.
Right.
And while I'm staring in the mirror, I realize you can't see at least half my face. I have a very small face, so the mask. So I was
I see. When she's cutting it, she's like, I don't even know what I'm cutting to match.
That's what I asked. I was like, hey, has that been difficult for you? Of like, you don't even know if this is flattering my face. You don't know what half my face looks like. That like it's wild to think about all of that. And
as I'm looking at you right now, though, it does feel like there's a big chunk missing right here out of your hair. Like,
well, she said that she just had to adjust her techniques. Like she used to look at cheekbones and jawlines a lot more, and she looks for other things. And if somebody wants a very specific cut, like a pixie cut, she'll ask to see a picture of them on their phone.
Like, so she knows what their face looks like.
Yeah, it's wild to me. And she's like,
I got a pixie cut when I got this cut. I asked for a pixie cut, and she just looked at a photo of the pixies on the phone.
Where is my mind?
Yeah.
But and she said that she's had clients come home and like take a selfie when they get home without a mask and send it to her, and she's like, "Oh, you're cute!" Like that's I don't know. It's just interesting to. I like doing thought experiments, much like my friend Sean, and it must be wild to be a hairstylist right now on some level because my hair was so long and unruly, and I was self-conscious about that. But that was another question. I was like, I'm guessing a lot of the people you're seeing are coming in, like climbing out of a cave.
Yeah. Well, I had cut my own hair 4 times before I went to the hair cutter last time, the barb dresser.
The barb dresser.
So it was just like, I mean, everybody knows because we did a lot of these shows like that. It was fucking crazy,
Right.
So I'm sure you're right. I'm sure everybody's coming in and they're like, this is my first time since
and it's
the
like this emotional thing
started. Yeah.
Well, and my hair was to my butt, and I think there are a lot of people who have a lot of emotions tied to their hair. So she's like, I'm gonna cut it. Are you ready? And I was like, yeah. Like, I don't care. It clearly will grow back.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I did see the photo on I guess on Instagram, and I was like, wow, that was really long.
Yeah, I like the after is whatever. The before is what freaked me out.
Yeah. Yeah, after I was like, whatever, who cares? I don't care. Whatever, you know?
But she was really, really sweet. And even just in our conversation.
This was somebody you had never met before.
No, we went, there's a hair salon pretty like close walking distance. Mm-hmm. And I've had my eye on it, and I'm still not loving driving. Mm-hmm. And I am loving supporting my local economy. So I was like, yeah, like
I was going to say businesses when you got stuck, but economy works just as well. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I would say they're almost the same thing.
money exchange. Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I'll make an appointment there. That'll be great. And so it was my first time meeting her.
Mm-hmm. So she didn't even know what you looked like before all this.
No. And she wouldn't have anyway, because talking to her, she moved to Los Angeles in August. And she lives in Echo Park. And I was like, I can't wait for you to see your own neighborhood.
Right.
Like, that's so wild.
From where did she move?
San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But within talking to her, because I showed her a couple inspiration pictures. My hair doesn't look great right now. I again took another puppy nap right before this.
Fair.
We'll get into it.
Oh boy.
But one was more of a like severe blunt, and one was choppier. No one cares about any of this. But she's like,
you want it somewhere between choppier and blunter. Like too much blunt is not enough choppy, but if you get it too choppy, then you're like, where's the blunt? You know?
Well, I have very straight, fine hair, so sometimes layers don't do much. But
I hear you. Same thing with me.
She's like, I added layers. I wanted movement. She's like, I just met you an hour ago, but you have an effervescence, and I wanted your hair to match that. And I was like, okay, you're getting a big tip.
Do you know that I'm the light at the end of the rainbow?
No, but like it was a sweet thing to hear, because a lot of women are like, can't wait to get my hair done. Like, that's my happy place. Like, that's where I feel comfortable. That's where I've never experienced that. And I know it's a me problem.
I don't think it is. I think that's weird.
Wait, what?
I don't think it is a you problem. I think it's weird to say that my haircut is my happy place.
Well, maybe I've seen one person say that, and I've internalized it that I'm weird, that I don't feel the same way. But like I've heard of people like, oh, I just feel so good, I went and got a haircut. But I think I'm getting better at it with age, but like the people pleaser part of me, I spend the entire time being like, what should I talk about with them? Like, what do they want to talk about? What do they want to hear? I'm like not having a good time. It's not pleasant. And I don't know if I have hearing issues. Like, the mask stuff lately has made me think that maybe I have more hearing issues than I realize. Because if I'm in a store and I buy something and we're both wearing masks,
I'm with you.
No idea what that person said to me. Like,
I think that's totally normal. I think
no idea.
People don't understand that they have to speak more distinctly and more clearly because they have a mask on.
So I just like politely laugh and I'm out of there. Mm-hmm. But why I brought that up is like, I think that I've been at like even nice hair salons in the past where it's like the the hairdresser might be like sassy, and I feel a lot of pressure to be cool enough to be friends with them. But they'll like make offhand
So you
jokes.
put on a little sass. You're like,
no.
Yeah, well, fuck that.
No, it's more just like I want to be cool, and I don't know how to be cool in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so sad because I'm paying them. Like, if anything, they should be trying to impress me.
Yeah.
And
that's the whole point of being a hairdresser, is to impress your clients.
But the thing about the hearing is, what I mean is, like, they'll like say something and I won't fully catch it, but I'm also so anxious already that it's like I'm not gonna catch. Like, that might have been a funny joke I should have laughed at. Like, it just feels like an awkward social exchange is what I'm saying. And this one with this woman, she might have had the exact opposite feeling. I might have left and she might have been like, whoa, boy, like, that woman needs to get out more. But I was just myself.
How about a little less effervescence, a little more action?
Please.
Yeah. No, you want to be comfortable when you're sitting there for an hour with somebody, and that's not easy. I mean, I've always seen haircuts exactly the opposite way, which is, to me, it was always a tremendously traumatic experience.
I dreaded them. I hated them.
Because I was so used to how I looked, whether it was good or bad, and it was not good. It was like, oh, what happened? What? That's different. That's not from what it was. You know, it was bad news.
And I felt very judged in a way where, I think it was just the wrong match, the wrong hairdresser, but I'd be like, this is what I want. And they'd be like, that's what you want? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I see. Somebody's feeling a little sassy. I'll have to match that. Oh, that's what you want? Oh, you want to say that's what I want to me when I said that's what I want?
Well, and so then I was like, okay, I'll do the opposite. I'll go into a place. I'm like, what do you think? And they're like, you don't have any idea of what you want? I'm like, okay. So I'm not doing a great job either way.
Somebody's feeling even sassier than the person who questioned what I want by questioning. I'm asking them what they think, and they're sassing me about it.
Right. So anyway, point is, I really like this woman. The hair salon's very, very close. So, like, I think I have a salon now.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Good. Yeah. I mean, it kind of bums me out because I always was just like, I'll go get my haircut from this person. I mean, first of all, I think my mother cut my hair for the first 40 years of my life, basically. So all the haircuts are just like bowl cuts. But then I started going to this place in New York called Astor Place, which was kind of a famous place and is gone now, like everything else in New York. But I think I talked about this a few weeks ago, but this woman that cuts my hair now is somebody I met when I was surfing in Costa Rica.
I think I went to her once.
I think you did. You're right.
And I just talked about, like, she just wanted to talk about you, and I get it because it was like our one, but I was like, I don't have anything else to say about Sean. Like, I'm getting really stressed out about this.
See him once a week. That's all. It's enough.
I don't know.
But what bums me out is,
I'm okay being quiet, but I feel like we're not okay being quiet.
Right. I think she does a great job. It's just that I found her at a point in my life where I was losing my hair. And so there's not a whole lot left to be done at this point, you know? And I'm like, I wish I had met her 25 years ago when I could have been like popping into the room, like, check it out, dudes. I got my haircut.
Styling.
Yeah. And now it's like, oh God, there's still a little bit left. What happened? No. Oh, it's okay. My nephews, I don't know if I told you this. My nephew said to me when I was back in New York over the last time I was there, we were like on the back porch outside my parents' house. And, you know, those guys are like 14 now. So they're real into like insults and stuff. And everybody was insulting each other. And one of the things that you can make fun of all of us for, myself and my four brothers, is we are all to a greater or lesser extent losing our hair. Now, I know that there's some
Which
of them
also means it's their future. But.
Well, but you don't realize that as a kid, because we used to relentlessly mock my father without ever thinking about the fact that, well,
and that time is faster than you think it is.
Right. But I know a couple of my brothers listen to this show and they would probably be like, no, I'm not, but my nephew said to me, he goes, I forget what he said, but it was something about how I was losing my hair. And I was like, hey, and I came back at him. And then he was like, well, at least out of all the brothers, you're the one who's losing it the least right now. And I was just like, Jack, that's like saying you're the tallest kid who still can't get on the ride. You're not helping me right now.
That's so funny.
But so you got a haircut.
You just roasted your brothers. Like in a sneaky way.
Yeah, I did. I had to deflect.
It was a child.
Yeah. Fair point. So what else? You got a haircut?
Yeah, I got a haircut. So,
you didn't like sell it for a wig or something, did you?
No, I probably should have. It was a lot.
When you have that much, it's like...
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Sell it. Donate it, maybe. You got to make that cash.
I mean, it's all about the side hustle these days, Go on Instagram. The TikToks, they're all about like, what do I do? Boom, 6 figures. Boom, started my own business. Boom, got rid of my stupid husband. Boom, doing it on my own. Boom, drink wine every night. Boom, you could do it too. Just buy my course.
Well, it's also like, heaven forbid anyone have a hobby or an interest that doesn't earn them money. Like, we're so sick. We're a sick culture. Anyway, like there's literal shame in just like, oh, I do this, but I don't make money off of it.
Right. Well, that's why we make so much off this podcast.
Right. No, but I think that when I traveled, which was a long time ago, when I went to like South Africa and London, this isn't a scientific sample, but everyone I talked to, like, this is my job, but I play the cello for fun. This is my job, but I paint watercolors. This is my job, but I weave baskets. And none of them made money off those things. Mm-hmm. And it felt very un-American. Like, I feel like it's like ingrained in us that if you have an interest, you have to dedicate your life to it and you have to make money doing it, or you're a failure.
But don't you think if you went back to that person who played the cello, but I played the cello, they would be like, people said not to quit my job, but I quit my job. Boom. Play the cello full time. Boom.
Drink wine every night.
Write lullabies. Boom. Make 6 figures. Boom. Drink wine every night. Boom. Thinking about leaving my husband. Boom.
Have no friends. I'm intolerable to be around.
But I do think, like, I'm sure you're right, but I also think that was a long time ago. Like when you were traveling, that was a while ago. And I think social media has put it in everybody's faces of like, all you got to do is do what I did and you'll have 3 streams of income and you'll be making, like, boom. So I think, I don't know. I would think about selling the next time you grow your hair down to your waist, maybe think about a new stream of income.
Yeah. Passive income.
Yeah. So what else?
So,
what else?
No. I have things. I'm just trying to.
Eddie and I used to prepare for shows that way backstage. Like,
what else?
This is 20 years ago. So it was, I can't even remember why maybe it was longer ago than that, because we started Hump Night in New York in 98. So it was while I'm probably screwing up this timeline, but I feel like Saddam Hussein was either still in power or he was he was. Oh, big
time, because it was after 9/11 that he wasn't.
Right. I'm not screwing it up at all. Welcome to Bad Book Reports. Yes. Today I'd like to talk about 1998 when Saddam Hussein either was or wasn't still in power. But anyway, he would always want to, he of course said he never wanted to prepare anything, and I learned after a while that even if we did prepare anything, he wouldn't remember it or
so
do it or, whatever. So we would
he's got a different process.
We would show up to host the show and he'd be like, okay, Saddam Hussein, we got
Let's
Hussein.
Do it.
And I'd be like, yeah, and what about that?
It? What's our take?
And he'd be like, okay, yeah, right. What else? So after a while, that became the thing. It's just the two of us standing backstage going, what else? Blenders. Nothing. Still fun, but, definitely unprepared. So what else?
So last podcast, I was in a dark place. But
you were in your apartment.
Right. But I wasn't ready or vulnerable enough to talk about why.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk about it now because I've gotten more comfortable with the idea, and there's some hope at the end of the tunnel. Is the other?
Would you
thing.
say there's a brass ring at the end of the tunnel?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Smudgy is an adorable, intelligent, fast, active, cute dog who has severe emotional problems. So it's been really, really, really hard. It's like kind of overtaking our lives in a way that, I knew that raising a puppy was going to be sort of like all consuming, but last Saturday, the last time we recorded, was a really, really, really hard day. I'll say it, like it's so weird. It feels like I'm in an abusive marriage or something. Like I feel very protective of him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to think badly of him. But
I think we're all aware that he's a puppy.
But on last Saturday, we were doing some leash training. He has a lot of fear around his leash. And it was before Jeff woke up. I was like, let's just do some right now. And he bit me when we were taking off the leash.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that like it broke skin. I was bleeding.
Right.
Like it was scary for me.
Right.
And
painful.
Yeah, it was a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's tough because everything that you read about like raising a dog and training a dog, we've talked about in this past, but like everything says sort of the opposite thing. So there's that mind fuck scramble. And then
you mean from the other things you read?
Right.
It's like, you should do this. You shouldn't do this.
Never do this.
This is definitely the way. This is the bad way.
Right. Yeah. So there's like that whole scramble where you just have to buy into a philosophy.
Paralysis by analysis is the term I've heard for that, which is true in many, many different areas.
Right. But we watched Cesar Millan and the Dog Whisperer, he is the Dog Whisperer for years. And it's just like the overwhelming philosophy is that if there's anything fucked up with your dog, you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's hard not to just feel like deep shame.
Right.
And that's also why I didn't want to talk about it. Because it was just like, I'm clearly fucking shit up. I'm clearly doing this all wrong. And I want to succeed at this.
If you had stronger skin.
Right. I do have, my skin's so thin right now because we're washing our hands so much. So like, there's that. But I'm on the other side. I'm feeling really optimistic about it now. But I was like, so depressed last Saturday. Like it was a tough time where I was just like, did we make a huge mistake? I don't know what to do. But he went to a puppy socialization class, which is basically you just show up with a puppy and everyone else shows up with a puppy and they run around.
How do you do? I am well. And you, sir? Nice to see you.
And he was great for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'm kind of tired. Fuck you. Like he was just showing his teeth and growling at everyone. Like he just needed space and everyone was dying to hang out with him. Now, I know we could have just left. I thought there was like a rule, like we had to stay the full hour, but he was clearly spent. He was communicating that he was clearly spent and we just kept torturing this dog. So we're going back to that. And we still do
Irish goodbye. Goodbye.
But like he was tired and he's feeling overwhelmed. He's a little like ADD or something. Like he gets overstimulated pretty easily. But that was a tough day. I drove home from that social being really defeated. Also because
on top of which you were driving, which
oh no, Jeff was driving. Jeff was driving.
Okay.
So we don't
thank fucking God.
Thank God. I would have been a mess.
I'll be in the trunk, Jeff.
And I think it's because the trainers were trying to get us to buy classes, but they kept coming up and giving us advice. But my mind is already swimming and none of it was actionable. None of it was like, do this. It was all like, you don't want to correct him. You want to distract him. And it's like, great. Can you show me how to do that right now? So you're saying I can't say no to him, but he is doing something wrong.
Right.
And then what was the other thing she said? Never reward him for this behavior, but you can use food to distract him. And I'm like, how is that not rewarding him?
How does he know the difference? Yeah.
Like the whole ride home, I was like, what are they talking about? I was so mad.
Hey, Smudgy, I noticed you're fucking around. You want a steak or something? Feel free to distract me anytime.
So it was like, and like she said a couple other things where she was like, it doesn't get any better ever. And I was like, okay. And I think in hindsight,
you don't want to satiate his thirst, but you should give him water.
It was all this like, okay, what would that look like?
So an IV then? An IV.
Right. So but also I'm a people pleaser. So at the time I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And in my head, like, what?
Meanwhile, that person went home that day and they were like, I had a great day. Somebody was pleasing me all day.
Right. But I think in hindsight, I think she was saying like, it doesn't get better unless you work on it. Because like everyone I've talked to, like my friend,
thanks, Lao Tzu.
Why I'm better now is because, again, this was very shameful for me. So I wasn't talking about it with anyone except Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally clicked. It dawned on me, like, I need to talk about this with people because that's the only way I'm going to feel better about it. So I talked about it with a bunch of friends, and my friend Tess, she volunteers at shelters all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, Amber, I see dogs that are 8-9 years old that spent their whole life in cages or being trained to be fighters. And they get rehabilitated. Like it takes work, but they get rehabilitated. You've got a young puppy and you guys are both doing all of the right things. You're taking him to training. You're taking him to socialization. You're giving him love and affection and discipline and care. Like it may be a long process. It will take a lot of patience, but it's gonna get better. Like it will.
Yeah, like Guns N' Roses said, patience. You know?
I don't know. But yeah, so it's at the risk of being too woo-woo. I also feel like he was placed in my life for me to get in touch with my assertive nature. Like to step into my power because that's what he needs. Right. And the people pleasing wishy-washy quality that I have isn't serving me, and it certainly isn't serving him.
Especially because he's not a person.
right. But yeah, and so like when we do have victories, it is very, very, very exciting. But because he's so scared of the leash, we made it on the leash this week to the end of the block, and it was like tears, like we're so excited. But I'm more on lockdown now than I was during the height of the lockdown. Like it's this irony, and I know I need to figure it out. It's something that I need to solve for myself. But during the whole pandemic, I was pretty good and disciplined about getting exercise and getting fresh air and taking care of myself and my mental health. And he's sort of come in and thrown a wrench in that. So I've spent the past 6 weeks, we've had him for 6 weeks, like not doing so hot because I'm not getting physical activity. I'm not getting fresh air. And I can't take care of him well unless I take care of myself well. So it's like, we're just like making boundaries of like,
can I,
I'm going for a walk without you, dog. You know, like,
right. Like you had during the pandemic, you had a very clear picture of what you needed for your mental health.
Right.
Then he came in and smudged that picture.
Yes. But like all of this, and you know this, but I have to say it because I feel weird. Like I love him. And he's great. And he's going to be a very, very good dog. It's just even more challenging than I had anticipated. And it's nice. Like today we had the trainer. We go to a trainer on Saturday mornings, and we were telling her like we've made really good progress. We could get him on a leash now. We could walk him on a leash now. Taking off the leash is still a little bit. Like, I think we even maybe underplayed it of like it's a little bit hard. He gets a little bitey, and she's like, "Okay, let's see it."
See this scar.
Literally. Yeah. So she's like, "Okay, let's see it." And so I went to do it, and he started like growling and barking and showing his teeth. And she's like, "Okay." Like it was good that she saw it.
Right.
Because she's like, "Okay, we're gonna have to come at this."
You don't have to take the leash off, but you do have to not leave it on.
Right. Well, that's why I like. Okay, so we're talking about two separate trainers. There's the puppy social trainers, and then our personal trainer. Our personal trainer I love, and so oh my God, Amber, driving home today, I was like, see, like she would say one of those esoteric, like your energy needs to be here or there, but then she would give a concrete example and show you what it looked like.
So she's better at her job.
Or those other people were trying to get us to buy their training, but they didn't like reel us in. They just made us feel like garbage. Right. They made us feel like bad people. And she kept saying like really wonderful things of like, you guys are doing everything right. It sounds so dumb, but it meant so much to hear a professional say that. Like that's literally all I needed.
Yeah.
Because it has been the overwhelming feeling of like we're fucking this up, and I'm not even sure how.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I do think that you are fucking no. No,
it's,
of course
it's going
not.
to be slow. It's basically what she said.
I think one of the problems that I think all of us share to a certain extent. By all of us, I mean on this podcast.
Oh, I thought you meant like humanity. And I was like, how beautiful.
No. Is an overwhelming amount of self-criticism.
Yeah.
And knowing that everything that possibly goes wrong is somehow attributable. It's making me think of a couple things. One thing I'm thinking of is, and I haven't seen it in probably since I saw it in the theater, but now I want to go back and watch it again, is that scene with Robin Williams and Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting, where he tells him it's not his fault.
That scene has come up like 6 times in the last week. That is so insane.
Because that is the truth of it, you know, is it sometimes takes somebody else to
just say, like,
to make it clear to you what's clear to everybody else, that it's not your fault, you know. And you know, I thought Live at the Met kind of sucked, so you know, whatever, but you know, that scene is how do you like them apples? So that was one thing I was thinking about. The other thing I was thinking about is the idea of progress and versus patience, and it's really hard. I mean, I think it's a natural human thing to go, it's not working. Why is it not working? It's not working because you can't measure something like that. There's a again, to do a Sean and Amber's bad book report. There's a thing that Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist's Way. I don't know if you're familiar with The Artist's Way.
I am. I've quit it.
The book about
times.
Apparently, if you just write 3 pages of bullshit every morning, you become a genius. And
I feel like I've gotten worse every time I've done The Artist's Way.
But she talks at one point about how you could be. This is, I think, the metaphor she uses. You're in a rowboat. You're lying down in a rowboat on a river, and so it feels like you're just lying there when, in fact, you're being carried along by the current during that period of time, and you've moved a tremendous way, but you're not aware of it because it doesn't feel like you're making progress on a regular basis. And that is the hard part of a process like this, where it's not a thing that you can look at every day and go, we did this, this, and this. I'm going to check off these boxes. It's this weird thing where in a year you'll be like, oh my God, this is so different from where I was a year ago, but you're not able to see that progress along the way. And that's hard, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's not the same thing at all, but I feel like for me right now, one thing that I was not good about over the course of the pandemic was just eating healthy. And, you know, I did exercise to a certain extent, but I definitely feel worse now than I did before.
Same. It's so frustrating. I know that you're making a point right now, but like the world is opening up and I'm like, I've never felt fatter. I've never like, I actually 100%. Was kind of in a good place. And now I'm seeing people being like, ugh, like,
and I, on top of that, I, about 3 months ago, really recommitted to exercise on a regular basis, but I still feel like a fat piece of shit. Like I definitely am 10 or 15 pounds heavier than I was before the pandemic began. And I fucking feel it. And I am working out. And it is a thing where I'm like, I just have to be secure in the knowledge that this will pay off in the long run, because it's not like I'm going to wake up one morning and be like, I should go outside in my thong, you know?
Well, and also you're not,
or maybe I will, but
you know, do 11 squats and then jump on the scale and have lost 20 pounds. Like, it doesn't work.
I keep reminding, I mean, even when I started, I was like, this is going to be, I'm starting right now. I guess it was like February. So I had been on and off for the entire year. And I was like, okay, I'm going to recommit 100% going forward. And this is going to be a 2-year. This is what I'm committing to, is a 2-year process.
Because so many people are like, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be hot.
Right. But the problem is, can I stay committed for that long without any indication of, and it's not that there's no indication of success, but there's definitely not, I'm not looking at myself and going, I see the difference, you know? So anyway, my point is, I think, and obviously you're already there on this is like, it's a process, and it's just about knowing inside that there's no way to go, today's the day that everything's going to be different. It is becoming different over time, and will continue to become different until you don't even think about it anymore.
Right, right.
And that's a hard thing to deal with.
And the trainer has told us, like, progress, it isn't always just upward and linear. Like, you might have days where it's worse than you expected, and it's just like growth.
I hate to tell you this. That trainer wrote a book called One Step Forward, Two Steps Back. So
it's Paul Abdul. But he there are, like, the things that are glimmer of hopes for me are he loves meditating with me. Smudgy does. Mm-hmm. And what I mean is usually it's in the morning.
Well, because if you fall asleep, he knows he will be able to bite you with impunity at that point.
No, he only attacks when he's feeling that weird fear threat. Like, he's sweet as pie. I know I sound like I'm covering up for him, but it's the truth. So as I'm covering my hands. But so when I meditate in the morning, he comes and he sits right on my lap. And he meditates with me, for lack of a better way of describing it. So much so that if I'm meditating and Jeff wakes up, Smudgy will, because I'll ask Jeff, I'm like, he'll look at him and he kind of looks at Jeff like, we're meditating, bro. I got to stay here. So Jeff could make coffee. He could make all these loud noises in the kitchen, and he'll stay at my side meditating. I'm not holding him. So,
for some reason, as I'm picturing you meditating, I'm also picturing that you both are levitating the entire time. Well, and so Smudgy's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. This is fucking weird, and I get it, but this is where I am right now.
So one of the most successful time where we went on the longest walk, because now we have positive associations with the leash. We have positive associations with putting on the leash. We have positive associations with walking on the leash. For the most part, he hits a wall. It's taking it off. For whatever reason, he thinks he's fucking dying. He's scared to death. So the longest walk we went on, we went that block, we came back, and we just left the leash on him. And I was like, I'm meditating, bro. And he was playing with Jeff on the leash in the living room, and I sat down and meditated, and wouldn't you know it, he jumped up and sat down and meditated with me with the leash on. Mm-hmm. And so once we were both done meditating, we all three as a family were grounded and calm. And Jeff fed him a treat, so he's a little distracted, and I took the leash off. But, like, I don't have time to do that four times a day. Like, so we have, but like.
Although, can you imagine how content you would be with your life if you did do that? Right. If that just became part of the process? Right.
But, like, what I'm saying is it's possible. And he's even attracted to that calm, grounded energy. Like, he likes it. So, yeah, we're going to be, Mama and Smudge are going to be meditating quite a bit.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I feel you, dog. You know, because it can be frustrating, you know, and that's where the self-criticism comes in, both for being frustrated and for the reasons for the frustration and for, oh no, only two things.
Well, I was scared about it also becoming a rift in my marriage, quite honestly. We both wanted a dog, but I wanted a dog a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I was scared that it was going to be like, see, this is what I said. It would be too hard, blah, 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 blah. There's been none of that. If anything, Jeff has had patience longer than I have. I was bit first, so maybe that also
that does tend to take away from your level of
like hope and patience.
Yeah.
And but he had a day this week where he was really dark about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me a lot of anxiety because it triggered all those things of like.
I feel like I don't want to jump ahead of you, but I feel like what you're going to say is it started to make you feel like this is my fault that he is feeling this way.
Right.
You know?
Right. But it's been, I'm like so scared of saying this and like jinxing it, but it's been like great for our marriage because like now we check in with each other and it's just like, we lock eye contact and it's like, we love this dog, but this dog is not going to get in between the two of us. Like we love each other harder. And it's really cool to see. So I'm like crying. I'm like tearing up. But like we are very lucky. I'll put it that way. Like we live a pretty privileged life. So it's cool to see your partner face a challenge in from love. Like it's cool. It's attractive. It's nice. I'm not worried about this family.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm crying about this.
Well, Joe and Jamie are going to be so bummed they weren't here. Shit gets real in the long shot. No, I get it. And good for you. That's good to hear. Because on one hand, you want to go, well, and not about you guys, but just in general, it's like, well, a dog, I mean, who cares, but I'm sure there are relationships where
this tears people apart.
Yeah, of course. I could definitely see that. I mean, I was never in a marriage like that, but definitely with the dog, it was like I was like going to a witch doctor.
You're allergic.
It was like a problem, you know?
Yeah, that's a thing.
The dog was living in my apartment. So I get it. And good for you, I don't know about the crying thing, but
I should be ashamed of that.
It is your fault. What else? Anything else?
I talked for 7 hours. I mean, we got a new bookshelf.
Imagine you start crying even harder because of that. New bookshelf. It has all the books on it. Yeah, I got a picture today texted to me. My brother texted me a photo of my old coffee table, and it made me happy that it still exists, but also irritated that I still have this piece of shit coffee table in my living room.
Wait, what?
I'm just saying, I get it about bookshelves. I get it about furniture.
No, this is
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
No, I'm not making fun of you for talking about a coffee table.
I get how like you get a bookshelf and you're like, this is now. I am no longer like Jeff and Smudgy and me. I was concerned, but now we have this bookshelf, and I'm not worried about this family anymore.
No, I'm trying to track the history of this coffee table. It's a coffee table you like that you gave up. I bought this
coffee table in New York 20 years ago.
Okay.
Then my brother moved into my apartment, and I didn't bring anything with me when I moved out here. I just like flew with my backpack basically. And so I left all my shit in New York, and he has a new house that he got. And so he texted me a photo today, and he was like, your coffee table lives. Aww. And I hadn't seen it in 15 years. And it is a really like nice, striking, cool, awesome.
I gotta see a picture of this coffee table.
And so anyway, I get it with the bookshelf thing, where it's like
No,
I'm on board.
You gotta go visit your old coffee table.
Well, it disappeared for 15 years, and I feel like it was my fault. So,
right.
Anyway, so you got a new bookshelf. You got books to put on the shelf?
Yeah.
You don't need any? Because I have extra copies of The Artist's Way if you want one.
Why do you have so many?
I keep trying over and over again.
You could just read the same book again.
Holy shit. God damn it. I spent so much on that book. All right. Well, we should probably just get out of here. We don't need to take a break or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I have, for me, it's been a little bit of an exciting week only because I think I talked about this a little bit last week, but the Knicks are in the playoffs for the first time in a very long time. And I know, look, in the age of Twitter, nothing is cool anymore, but certainly even before that, one of the things that wasn't cool if you are an artist or a person in comedy or whatever is to care about sports in any way.
Like, I think that's bullshit. I feel like
it's so awesome for people to be like, hey, you like sports ball?
But I think there's an equal amount of people who just like what they like. And I think those people are cooler than spending time shitting on what other people like.
I agree. But, fuck those people for not liking what I like.
Oh, no. Are you... them to them?
Look, you don't have to shit on what other people like
unless it's
but you have to make sure they know that you don't like what they like if you don't like it. And give them food
and give them a reason why they're bad.
But anyway, it's been fun. And then on top of just being excited about that, I have a friend whose kid has a podcast about the NBA, and he's just a high school kid, but it was just funny to listen to him and his buddy talk about the Knicks, and he went to the first game in the playoffs, and he was talking about how exciting it was because that was a huge thing. The Madison Square Garden had 15,000 people at it, and that was one of the first big things post-pandemic that had lots of people at it. And he was like, it was crazy how excited people were. And then the two of them watched the game together with some other friends of theirs in my friend's apartment on the Upper West Side in New York. But then at the very end of the game, they took the subway down to Madison Square Garden just to hang out with all the fans coming out of the game. And they ended up being on this Instagram site. Like, there was some sports blog taking photos and videos. So these guys were on the video, and it was just funny to listen to them talk about how fun it was to be at the Garden when the Knicks had won their first playoff game, and they all took their shirts off and they were dancing around like lunatics. And then to see the actual footage of them with their shirts off, dancing around like lunatics outside, like just being excited the way kids get excited about stuff like that. It was fun. Yeah, it was
I love that.
Of course, the Knicks then lost the next game, so they're down 2-1, and they probably won't make it to the next round. But we'll see. You never know. It's the NBA. Everybody makes a run.
Anything can happen.
All right. So, parting shots. Anything?
Yeah. I guess it'll be about Smudgy again. But the funniest thing he does that brings us joy now is he is eating out of his food bowl is way too boring. He prefers,
for you or for him?
For him. He likes to eat because we use the food to teach him commands, and so he prefers to eat while working. We call it, come and sit and spin and all that stuff. But if we are too tired to, because that's every meal. Sometimes we just want him to eat. We've found that if he's got a little dog toy that's in the shape of a top hat, if we put food in the top hat or inside anything else that he could find, then he'll eat it. He wants a challenge, but it's very funny to see him eating out of a top hat every day. It's very, very funny. And it's worth all the bites and stuff.
He sounds like a stockbroker.
Yes.
A rich guy. from the
also
20s.
we haven't left a lot. That's the other thing is I don't know how people have a puppy not in a pandemic, but so we're trying to actively leave the house together, just to get him used to it.
Leaving him in the house.
Yeah.
In a crate or no?
He has a crate. He's not fully crate trained, so we put up baby gate, so he stays just like in a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
But when I tell you this dramatic dummy, he doesn't bark. He screams. He screams
when you guys leave.
Yeah, and I'm just like, our neighbors are going to murder us. Like,
this is every dog that lives in my complex, by the way.
I hate it. So, and
they're all like Smudgy. They're small dogs, so they have this incredible keening wail when they are upset.
The bookshelf that comes back. So when the bookshelf,
I got a picture of a coffee table today. Sorry,
I can't wait to see it. But when we got the bookshelf from a friend's Chris Register, he's moving from that house. So he had like an estate sale, not a real estate sale because no one's dead. But so we bought a bookshelf from there, but it wouldn't fit in our car. So Jeff had to rent a van, and he like rode a bicycle to rent the van and then drove the van to pick up the bookshelf. And anyway, it was a whole thing.
It's a fucking Rube Goldberg.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. But
then he couldn't get his bicycle, so he had to run on a hamster wheel to get the bicycle energized. And then
so we put the baby gate up so Smudgy was in the kitchen so that he wouldn't get hurt, and like because he also is ninja style, he'll be like right under our feet. So we went out to get the bookshelf from the van that was directly in front of our house. I mean, we were gone 35 seconds, and our neighbor came out and was like, I thought there was an injured animal. Like it was just, and we were laughing because it was just like,
Smudgy is on the roof and he's attacking Shogun in the next castle.
We were gone such a small amount of time, but it was just like, so that'll be a fun thing that we have to figure out, because it feels like there's no way to get through that without just, it's going to be uncomfortable for a while and then he'll be desensitized to it. But I don't love putting my neighbors through that. Like, I don't know.
Right. It's a weird thing because you're not there for it. So it doesn't totally affect you, but other people are there.
Right. And it's like, we went across the street to pick up something from Jeff and I give ourselves like a task that forces us out of the house together. So we went to the liquor store.
Hey, baby, you want to go rent a van again? I'll ride my bike and then we'll go get a van and we'll drive and pick up something and then drive back to where the bike is and take the bike back.
I was with Smudgy the whole time. I left just to take the bookshelf out of the van. That was it. And that's how hard he was screaming.
Listen, baby, I got to get out of here. I'm going to rent a van again.
So we went across the street to the liquor store to get, I think, a 6-pack of beer for later that night. And we walked back slowly because we're like, let's see when we can hear him. Like maybe he calmed himself down. And we're like, I think he did it. And then we were like, oh, no, he sure didn't. He sure didn't. So, yeah, I might have to write letters and send gift cards to our neighbors because I don't know how people have a puppy outside of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Or maybe mine is extra fucked up.
They've done it. I know they've done it, but I don't know
a couple
how.
Times.
Yeah. I don't know how. All right. Well, parting shots. This is what I'll say. I have been putting together these show notes every week.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Are they? I don't know. I'm trying to decide whether it's worth continuing to do that.
It's your fault that they're not. Is that what you want me to say?
No, I'll tell you what the problem is is that I enjoy it too much because
that's not a problem.
What happens is, for example, this past week when we talked about Bad News Bears, I started watching clips of I was like, let me link to a clip of the Bad News of Walter Matthau being Buttermaker in the Bad News Bears, because it's such a fucking classic. Like, it is Walter Matthau in all his Walter Matthau-ness. Right. I was like, let me link. So then I started watching clips, and I'm like watching these clips and reading articles about it. And it's like 45 minutes later. Yeah. 45 minutes later, I'm still on one link, and it's like, that is not
an efficient use of time,
productive ultimately. But I am too interested in the stuff that comes up to not go down all those goddamn internet rabbit holes.
I mean, it's kind of what we were talking about before, but you enjoying it, isn't that enough of a reason to spend that time? Like, sorry, you're not making that.
Quit my job. Boom. Money. Only write show notes. Boom. Side hustle. Boom. Making 6 figures. Boom. Want to get married? Boom. Got my own place. Boom. Thinking about replacing my coffee table. Boom. My friend got a bookshelf. Boom. But yeah, it is. No, I get what you're saying, but I do have a million things I need to be doing. And
gotcha.
But then I'm like, do I have a million things I need to be doing, or do I just feel like I have a million things?
Oh shit, that's the question.
And that's a whole other. I mean, we'll have to save that for next week, because that's a whole other ball of cookies or whatever.
Yummy.
You're punching me in the face and you're taking my cookies, my ball of cookies.
That's what Smudgy is doing.
Well, folks, this has been The Long Shot. It has been the Rambler with
Sean and
Ambler.
Aw.
And I guess that's it. We'll see you next time, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll have the boys join us. We'll see.
I'm not hopeful, but
but that's not your thing.
No. We'll see. They may show up. Who knows? Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. You could have been anywhere and you were here.
We listened to our bad book reports.
We'll see you next time. Bye.